Welcome to the online industry forum with Speaker Nicholas Mattiello. It's being presented by the Rhode Island Business Forum Partners, which includes the Rhode Island Manufacturers Association. My name is Dave Chenevier. I am the Executive Director, and my partner in crime is Melissa Travis from the Rhode Island Society of CPAs. Melissa, you want to say hello?
Good morning, everyone. We appreciate you joining us on this beautiful early morning.
Thank you. And we have Speaker Mattiello. Speaker, good morning to you also.
Good morning, Dave. Good morning, everybody. Pleasure to be with you this morning.
So we're going to get started, and we have a lot of areas to cover. First and foremost, I'd like to talk about the fact that the business atmosphere in the state of Rhode Island continues to grow. Right now, we have an exciting item going on at Taco Comfort Solution, which is the data analytics group of KPMG. Working with them, it's one of the first type of industry partnerships going on that in the globe relative to manufacturing. This is in the preliminary stages, but TACO is taking advantage of this, and I believe it's going to be a stepping stone for the other major manufacturers that we have in Rhode Island. We'll see how this plays itself out. We're looking forward to seeing the results in a very quick turnaround. The other items that we have going on is relative to the reshoring efforts being put on by RIMA, Commerce, and Polaris as well, which I know the speaker is very supportive of, in trying to bring back additional work that probably been made in China back into our lovely state. So we're working hard on that as well. The other thing that we have is the fact that we're having our training situation in the state of Rhode Island maximized by the use of the Davies Vocational, where the speaker in the House and the governor and others were very supportive of spending $3.5 million. And Speaker, I know you toured the facility with me, and you were very instrumental in seeing that accomplishment occurred. So at this point, I'd like to do is introduce a good friend. I consider him a close friend, John Hazen White. We've worked together on many projects relative to manufacturing. They're a leader in our state. They're a Cranston-based company. And John, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, everybody. Hello, Speaker. Dave.
Good morning, John.
Good to see everybody.
TACO is a 100-year-old, third-generation family-owned company. They are very supportive of RIMA, and I know they're a very staunch supporter of the state of Rhode Island. John, I'm going to turn it over to you to say a few words.
Surely, that's a well put introduction, actually, Dave. You know, it's a third generation company started by my grandfather, but it's really now how do I say, inhabited or has the presence of the fourth generation. And so, you know, in thinking about this discussion particularly, you know, my goal all along has been to keep TACO in the White family, but also keep it in the state of Rhode Island. And so I think it would be prudent to point to the speaker actually as somebody who, from my perspective, certainly I think in everybody's perspective or most people's, has done really solid work on behalf of the business community. And that sometimes I think, Speaker, you can speak for yourself, but I think sometimes entails hard decisions and sometimes easy ones, but sometimes hard ones. And I think you've done a good job. You know, I think about over the last number of years, some of the things that I would point to, you know, the eliminated sales tax on utility bills for companies. And I think in regards to things like that, we're all about, sorry, if I wave fanatically, it's because my lights go on and off by motion. You know, it's important that you do things to keep the state competitive with other states, because, you know, and I can remember back in the 80s when states all over the place were lobbying hard to get companies like TACO to move to other parts of the country, but haven't done that. So it's imperative that you continue to keep up with being competitive. That's just natural. You lowered the corporate tax from 9 to 7, I think. And I mean, there you go again, being competitive and keeping it attractive. And we have to always have things that keep it attractive for us to stay. And Speaker, you know as well as I, and Dave, and I think everybody probably that watches this will know that one of my biggest issues has been the estate tax. I say kind of tongue in cheek sometimes, I can't afford to die here. And it's not funny. It's true. And the Speaker, you have taken action, and I give you tremendous credit for this, taken action to begin to improve that situation. Because if you don't, and you're already seeing people leaving, we've seen a number of significantly wealthy people leave the state, and I think it's just imperative that you continue down that path of you raise the threshold, and you've done the right stuff so far. And I think between conversations we've had, your objective is to continue trying to do things to make that more attractive. Because if you lose people like me, and you won't lose TACO, but you might lose me, right? If you don't fix it, if this isn't improved. I mean, you lose the philanthropy, you lose the presence, you lose a lot of things with good people. And so I think I commend you for what you've done, and would ask that you continue to work towards continual improvement on that. And I might say that also, and this is not affecting my business, but it's something you've done. It's to move forward with eliminating the car tax. And I say this from my perspective because I have 500 or 600 employees, and that's helping them. So as an employer, to be a part of supporting that movement, well, I'm helping my employees to have some benefit for themselves. And that's the most important thing, because they're my single biggest asset, right? And the thing that I want to protect and nurture as best I can. So, there's a lot of other things that are happening positively with the Speaker, but those I would want to share because other people have thoughts too. So, Dave, thank you for the time to allow me the time to be present here and to be a part of this. I think so much of Rima and Dave, what you're doing. By golly, thank you, because this is a big effort and a lot of effort, and you are terrific.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Speaker, your comments relative to what John have to say?
Yeah, thank you, John. And, thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your collaboration over the years. None of us do what we do in public policy in isolation, and a lot of good advice and information comes in to us. And you've been one of my friends that's really, really given me proper perspective, John. I've tried to be known as the jobs and economy speaker. And I think that high tide lifts all boats. And, when we make it more competitive for companies to stay in Rhode Island, to thrive in Rhode Island, to create an environment that's conducive to job growth and reinvestment, we're all better off. Our companies are better off, our employees are better off, and our state is better off. So, John, thank you for your investment and commitment to Cranston and the state of Rhode Island, your friendship, and I'm sure we have a lot of great things coming from TACO in the future. You've really been an innovator, so thank you for what you do.
Dave, can I add one thing quick?
Go right ahead, John.
Yeah, then I'm sorry to take airtime here from other people, but I would just also say, Speaker, that one of the greatest advantages we have, one of the really special things we have in this state is that we're small, okay? And so you have out there a pool of people to draw from, like myself. Geez, think about the Carl Wadensten. I mean, go down the list. We've got some really powerful, strong, good people that you can draw from. And believe me, they're all intent on helping. We are all intent on helping you folks on Smith Street to do the right things and to make this a better place, or continue to make it a better place. It is a great place. So we'll continue to make it great again, I guess.
Very good point, John. And one of the things I've always said about the Speaker is you listen.
Yes.
And I don't think we as individuals can ask for much more from our elected official. You do a great job of listening to our concerns, Speaker. So thank you also for that aspect. All right, our next speaker that we're going to have come up is a gentleman named Carl Wadensten from VIBCO. And Carl is an integral individual for the support of manufacturing in the state of Rhode Island. He's never been shy in speaking his thoughts. And so we thought it'd be kind of great to have him here, even though he's not in Cranston, but he is all over the state of Rhode Island relative to his business and his support for manufacturing. So I'd like to introduce Kyle Wadensten, President, CEO of VIBCO Vibrators. Kyle? Kyle, I hope you're there. I hope you're unmuted. All right, we're having some technical difficulty. So what I'm going to do is, while Kyle is trying to get on here, I'm going to read a couple of statements that we have received. One of them is from a company called speaker from Miniature Casting, Stefan Toljan. He lives in your district. His company is in your area. He says, as a small manufacturer in Rhode Island, we rely on local and state government to understand the challenges we face on a daily basis to stay competitive and to have a chance to grow and maintain jobs in Rhode Island. It is my opinion that Representative Mattiello is a strong supporter of the Rhode Island business community, in particular our manufacturing base. He has a moderate and well-balanced approach with regards to new and additional business regulations, opposes corporate tax increases, and supports business development initiatives. This is a small family-run business, and I know that's what you support throughout the state. The other one that we have is from an individual who you worked with very closely on our CTE program, Bob Baldwin. Bob states, with the support and leadership of Speaker Mattiello, the 2014 CTE reform bill, creating a career and tech board that took down silos and barriers while creating a partnership of business employers, education, and government that established a business training curriculum and programs that have been implemented in grades 9 through 12 in schools throughout Rhode Island, resulting in present 2020 enrollment of over 13,000 students in career and technical job training programs. This past June, the first class of students graduated with four full years of career training, with over 200 students going directly from high school into jobs. This would be impossible with the continued support and leadership of Speaker Mattiello, who has worked tirelessly to promote and expand career and technical training in Rhode Island. Moving forward, the Speaker has supported adding career and technical job training and exposure into the middle schools as well. Therefore, I heartily support Speaker Mattiello's re-election efforts. And I believe we have been joined by Kyle Wadensten, President CEO of VIBCO. Kyle, welcome. Had a little difficulty to get you on, but you're here, and we're happy to have you with us.
Yeah, I was in the green room too long, and I lost track of my buttons. Sorry, Speaker.
Good morning, Kyle.
Good morning. Good morning. So you think about 32 or 33 weeks ago was the last time the full RIMA group saw you at a breakfast meeting, and I think the world was in a hurricane of COVID that hadn't reached our shores yet. And I remember sitting there and talking about this and the possibilities of our state being shut down, locked down, and a lot of the unknowns during that pandemic, the beginning stages of the pandemic. And the thing that was most profound, Speaker, was that you took this on a fact-based basis in the way that you were talking with us. With the little facts that we did have, we weren't getting into hysteria. We were looking at things that we could do. We were looking at things that might impede us, but how do we work together as a state? And I think at the end of that meeting, the access that we have to you, Speaker, that all Rhode Islanders should be really aware of, that as the Speaker of the House and many speakers before you, you are the first person to have access to let numerous people to the table and understand the competing urgencies that all groups have. The backbone, and we're a little bit biased because we're manufacturing, but the backbone of our state is manufacturing and tourism. Those are the two things that keep the lights on in our state. And I think that you've been very, very willing to work with our groups and understand what we're competing against and how we thrive. Because as we thrive, the things that are important to people in our state that could be underserved or need training or need help, as we have a healthy economy, we can spread the money around. Without a healthy economy, a lot of things stop really, really, really fast. And everybody in manufacturing, Dave and Johnny and the people that have spoken to you, we all understand that there's a give back to the community. But first, we have to be able to help ourselves to be able to give back. So I thank you very much for that. And here we are in unprecedented times, 33 weeks later. 33 weeks later. And I'm going to reflect back on that meeting back in March, that on the backside of this COVID is when we really need your leadership, because there are going to be winners coming out of this and there are going to be big losers coming out of this. But if Rhode Islanders don't step together, and your ability to grab us as a group and bring us together, you know, people that are in service industry, people that are in hospitality, people that are in small micro businesses, how do we get everybody a leg up? And those opportunities, without really good leadership at the House side and, you know, in the executive branch as well, and in the Senate, without everybody looking at how do we come out stronger, Rhode Island will be left in the dust again. And that would be a tragedy. Johnny White said it best. We're all here willing to help. So the real jobs piece that you've been supportive of for, you know, the commerce, and the commerce is kind of the conduit, your conduit. All you can do is pass the bills. You can get everybody in the House together and say, guys, this is an initiative that has long-term profound effect for our state, and take advantage of federal money, take advantage of, you know, the different funding avenues that Rhode Island has to put in a little. But what does our share look like to help educate, train, teach, get the universities, get the private and public together? You're just greasing the wheels for us. And the better you grease the wheels, the better this economy will look on the backside. So that leadership, I can't stress it enough, that we're going to have some great opportunities to lift people up, and we're going to have some great challenges.
Well, thank you very much for those kind comments relative to our manufacturing sector. I think one of the things that we're seeing consistently in this conversation, Speaker, is the pro-business atmosphere that we have in our state. And I really think that starts with you. You have shown a lot of support for the manufacturing sector. I think the growth of our manufacturing group, you look at Amgen putting up a large second plant up in their facility. Don't get me wrong, they've got some good credits, but there's an atmosphere that has to be created to want them to stay in Rhode Island. And I believe that your leadership has been able to give us that leadership to have them stay here. And I think the other thing is so important, and Kyle and I have talked about this numerous times, is the career tech and education that you developed with Bob Bolden a few years ago. That program itself has impacted Cranston East and Cranston West high schools. Those students are benefiting from your thoughts going back to 2004, I believe it was. So there's so many good things that we don't hear about in the paper, but we want to make sure that everyone knows about these positives. And it's people like Kyle and John who help spread that word. So manufacturing, and you've noted this to me many times, is the backbone for our economy in Rhode Island. And I'd like to have your thoughts on what all has been said at this point in time, Speaker.
Yeah, I thank you all. I believe that manufacturing is unique in that it is the one activity that we engage in that you add value to a product and you make it better, and then you make it available to the ultimate consumer. Manufacturing, in my opinion, has been neglected for a long, long time in the state of Rhode Island. And now we've started to refocus on it. And I thank you for your thoughts, Carl. And I agree. Coming out of this pandemic, we're going to have to be nimble. We're going to have to be smart. We're going to have to be collaborative, and we're going to have to work hard together to make sure that we thrive in the post-pandemic world. And I've got to give a lot of credit to the governor. She's been an excellent executive, both for the business community and also in managing us through this COVID-19 crisis, and the Senate president, who's been a good partner for business. So I'm looking forward to collaborating with both of them, with all of my colleagues, with all of you, so that when we come out of the COVID-19 world, we'll be as strong as possible as a state. We have a lot of challenges, but we're going to have a lot of opportunity. And what I always say is, I'm not a manufacturer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an engineer, I'm a lawyer. So I need all of your input. We all need all of your input and expertise. And if we collaborate, talk to each other, learn from each other, we'll move forward with the strongest possible footing. So I look forward to all of that collaboration. Thank you, Carl.
Yeah, thank you for your support for all of us.
Thank you, Speaker. You're 100% right. And how many times you have said that if you're not at the table, so I understand that very well. And I myself have visited you numerous times. You've always had your door open, and we discussed a lot of it. We don't maybe agree on some of those issues, but that's okay. You've listened, and that's the most important part to me. At this point in time, I'd like to turn this over to my partner, Melissa Travis, who is the president of the Rhode Island Society CPA and does an outstanding job. And I'll be honest with you, let this compliment her on putting this all together. She is a tireless worker and effort on behalf of the state of Rhode Island, but also her association. Thank you, Melissa. Welcome.
Thank you, Dave. And, it's great to hear from Carl and John as a very proud board member of the Rhode Island Manufacturers Association. No one understands manufacturing more than I do as the importance. But I also want to say, I hear the common thread, Speaker, that you've continuously worked to improve the state's economy. I hear the word tireless. You're constantly at it, trying to help us. Under your leadership, as John, Hazen, White, and Carl have mentioned, the tax climate's continued to improve. A few years ago, you got well-deserved recognition from the Tax Foundation, a very prestigious national nonpartisan organization for outstanding achievement in tax reform. While the Society of CPAs has been around for 100 years, just like TACO, based right here in Cranston, and we're dedicated to creating that favorable tax climate. We want economic growth. We want the job creation that you've passionately worked for. We recently presented you with a very special award, dedication to creating a favorable tax climate and supporting economic development and growth. John kind of ticked off some of the things that you've done: phasing out the car tax, raising the exemption on the estate tax, reducing the corporate tax to the lowest rate in the Northeast, eliminating the income tax for Social Security recipients and other retirees, eliminating the sales tax on utility bills. John mentioned that, and twice lowering the corporate minimum tax. That's important. That helps everyone. That helps the elderly, the most vulnerable in the community, the people that are impacted the most from COVID. We also presented you with a letter written by Barry Melanson, who is the global president and CEO of the AICPA, the American Institute of the Society of CPAs, and certified public accountants. And it was for your significant contribution on behalf of the business community in the state of Rhode Island. This letter was unprecedented. He said your passion for building the state's economy and job climate, providing tax relief for Rhode Islander, comes through in all that you do. And we've put a picture of that up on the screen. I think this is incredible. It's an immense achievement and deserves our congratulations. The AICPA is the world's largest membership association, representing accounting with more than 431,000 members in 137 countries. It's got a history of serving the public interest back since the late 1800s. But my industry is not the only one that's been vocal in their support of you. In fact, several sent letters, statements, and others, their schedules did not permit them to be with us today, but I'd like to just kind of touch on a couple of them. As you know, everyone knows, unfortunately, our daily lives have been turned upside down by COVID. Healthcare has been a top concern for everyone, for employees, first responders, those on the front lines, the elderly, the most vulnerable, as we just mentioned. And it's never been more important than it is right now. I'd like to read something from James Finale, the president and CEO of Care New England. Care New England would like to take this opportunity to thank Speaker Nicholas Mattiello for his leadership and consideration during these unprecedented times in Rhode Island. His undying support for financing of our healthcare system is well known at Care New England. In addition, his interest in the great work in caring for babies in the NICU is indicative of the compassion shown for patients, their families, and the hardworking staff. During the pandemic, Speaker Mattiello has shown exemplary leadership to support all healthcare providers, not only at Care New England, but all healthcare institutions in the state. Our hospitals continue to be a key item on Speaker Mattiello's agenda and a priority for the state budget. He recognizes the importance of our local healthcare delivery systems as we provide much needed services to Rhode Islanders. We are proud to have a House Speaker who understands our business and thank him for his continued assistance and support of healthcare in Rhode Island. Speaker, before we move on to other industries, because healthcare is really such a key topic, do you want to say a couple of words? Because I know we actually got a lot of letters from people regarding healthcare, thanking you for your support and focused on how important that is. So do you want to say a couple words about that?
Thank you, Melissa. Healthcare is one of our leading industries. The hospitals are one of our biggest employers, and they provide necessary healthcare to all of our citizens. Healthcare delivery systems in Rhode Island are excellent, but they've been stressed over the years. The reimbursement rates are low, it's hard to function, and we're constantly working to assist them. So I want to thank everybody. And when you're in COVID-19 times, you really appreciate our healthcare delivery systems, our frontline workers, and everybody in the system, from the frontline worker to the CEO of the organization. Everybody is critical, and I'm proud to say that everybody has been working collaboratively. So we're going to look at the issues. We're going to make sure that our systems are funded properly. We're going to make sure that our frontline workers are compensated appropriately. That's certainly an area that needs a lot of attention in Rhode Island and other places. They do God's work for wages that are unfair, quite frankly. So we're going to be working on that. And I just want to thank everybody in the healthcare system, the system itself, all of the individuals in the system, for helping to protect Rhode Islanders in very dangerous times. You're all great, and we all appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you. And I will say, as you know, in my previous role at the State Health Exchange, I worked with hundreds of businesses across the state. And I know the business owners, the employees, everyone is particularly proud to have you at the helm right now, because this is really important. You and the administration, you mentioned the partnership, that's more important now than it's ever been. Well, another industry particularly hard hit, of course, has been hospitality. And like he does so often, you've worked tirelessly to help that industry. The chairman of the board of the Rhode Island Hospitality Association, Farouk Rajab, wanted us to read a statement on his behalf because he could not be with us this morning. As the hospitality industry starts our slow road to recovery to an uncertain future, we are dependent on our state leaders enacting forward-thinking and smart policy ideas. One such example is recent legislation introduced by Speaker Mattiello, allowing restaurants to sell beer, wine, and cocktails with food orders through the end of 2021. The Hospitality Association has been working closely with Speaker Mattiello, Senate President Ruggiero, and Governor Raimondo on this legislation over the past several months, and thank them for the leadership on this important issue. While there is no magic solution to the challenges facing us, this legislation is an important part of the puzzle of keeping restaurant doors open. Throughout the pandemic, Speaker Mattiello and the General Assembly have been a ready and available resource for our entire industry. In addition to sponsoring the alcohol to go legislation, Speaker Mattiello has been appearing on our weekly membership call, and the House Small Business Committee invited the Hospitality Association to testify on the impact of COVID-19 on the hospitality industry. While there is no playbook for preserving an economy during a worldwide pandemic, having leadership that is invested in our recovery is no doubt an essential element. Farouk Rajab, Chairman, Board of Directors, Rhode Island Hospitality Association. Well, I know, Speaker, Dave and I have both heard from people all over the restaurant industry saying your leadership has been invaluable during this crisis. Do you want to respond to Farouk or anybody regarding what they're dealing with?
Thank you, Farouk. Thank you, everybody in hospitality. I know we're in extraordinarily difficult times. I try to support local restaurants as much as I can, and you see that people are still a little bit afraid to come out, but I think that we're getting more comfortable, becoming more comfortable going to restaurants. The restaurants that I go to are taking all of the proper precautions and helping to protect all of their customers. So I want to thank everybody in hospitality. And this is another opportunity where I have to thank the governor and the Senate president. alcohol to go. We all had a conversation in the height of the COVID shutdown, and the governor was instrumental in issuing an executive order to allow that. That was a great help to the hospitality industry. And now that we need legislation, we once again collaborated. The governor was part of the discussions. The Senate president was part of the discussions, everybody in hospitality. And we have legislation, which I'm hoping passes into law, and that will help the hospitality industry. Restaurants are hit hard. We all have to come together. We should all get out and support our local restaurants. I certainly do as much as I possibly can. And they're vital to our economy. We talked about manufacturing. Hospitality is critical to Rhode Island's economy, and COVID created complications that are unique to hospitality. So it's going to have to be an area that we give a lot of attention to, that we give a lot of assistance to, and that we all come together on. Thank you all for your collaboration in that regard. And I want to thank the governor and the Senate president. Together, we are going to come out of this COVID crisis stronger and better than ever before.
Very well said. And I know Dave and I have both been very impressed with the efforts from the restaurant owners. I know I feel very safe. They are very proud of their efforts and what they're doing to keep the restaurant safe. So thank you for that. So the Staffing Association, the Rhode Island Staffing Association, representing staffing, executive, retained search, outplacement, and temporary staffing companies, they've always been a supporter of yours, but I don't think ever so much as right now. They stated the Rhode Island economy needed the type of leadership you've provided in the General Assembly. Since accepting the position of Speaker, you've made it clear that your leading agenda remains, of course, jobs in the economy. They go on to say you've been impressive in your ability to listen to business leaders from many different industries, understand the consequences of legislation on the business community, and work always towards finding the best solution for employers and the citizens of Rhode Island. You have been accessible, inquisitive, and steadfast in passing legislation that was good for the state as a whole, while avoiding legislation that was not. And this is key, your ability to work across the aisle with both political parties is impressive and important. I think that we'd all like to put an exclamation point on that statement. We appreciate that you have consistently prioritized balancing the needs of the state while working to lessen our long-term debt load that would burden future generations, vital to the economy today and tomorrow. Our association would like to highlight recent school budget protections. Given the challenges of producing a balanced budget each year, you somehow ensured school funding was not touched, which is critical for keeping companies in Rhode Island and attracting new firms. Thank you for protecting students and their families. It is critical to ensure we have a capable workforce today and tomorrow. Additionally, you provided funding for employee training programs, which specifically support in-demand and high-wage jobs in Cranston and across the state. Thank you for your efforts over the years. We appreciate your leadership and look forward to the important work continuing in the House. Will Roth, President of the Rhode Island Staffing Association. And Speaker, I know another common thread through this conversation has been your focus on jobs, future jobs, job placement. Anything you want to add about that?
Yeah, I want to thank Will. Will is great. I've had a lot of great meetings with the staffing industry, and this is a great example of sometimes what we don't do is as important as what we do. And there have been a lot of challenges to the staffing industry that really would have negatively impacted that industry in Rhode Island. And we listened, and working with all of you, made the determination that it was not in the best interest of the state or the staffing industry to go forward, and we didn't go forward. So I certainly appreciate that they recognize we listen. I think the business community has not always gotten the attention that they deserve. High tide lifts all boats. If manufacturing is not strong, if hospitality is not strong, if our other industries in Rhode Island are not strong, the state will never be as strong as it can be. Economic activity drives everything. So even the neediest are dependent upon a strong industry, a strong job climate, so that while they are in need of help, and we all need help at some point in our lives. The economy is strong enough to produce that help. But then when that temporary situation comes to an end, we have an economy to go back to and a job to help support our family. So it's critical that we all listen in government and that we make sure that our businesses and our industries are as strong as possible so we can have the brightest possible future. One of the complaints that I heard from regular folks, regular citizens, is that they get upset when their children have to leave the state of Rhode Island and there's no job to go to after graduating. And that was very early in my legislative career. And that just has struck me between the eyes and has stuck with me through the years. And we have to make sure that our jobs, our economy is strong, and that we have an environment that's conducive to job growth. And that means that we have to listen. And that means we have to pass good legislation that helps businesses and stop bad legislation that hurts businesses. I sometimes get credit. You've listed a lot of the positive things that we've passed. Sometimes I'm called a firewall. I think I've probably done more good in the bad ideas that we have not let come through as the good ideas that we've passed. And there's plenty of good ones, I hope, but we've also stopped a lot of bad ideas. So, I thank all of my friends in the staffing industry. I thank them for collaborating with me, educating me so that we can help them by making smart decisions on their behalf. So thank you all.
I see both Dave and myself, we had huge ear-to-ear smiles because every time that bad legislation is introduced, our phones ring off the hook, in the wee hours of the morning and 2 o'clock in the morning and nonstop emails. And we're very thankful that you are so accessible. You're always willing to listen, both sides. How will this impact folks? We don't want anybody having to lay people off. And I think that's really important. And that's certainly meant a lot. We talk about the workforce and the jobs, and I want to just say, RISPA, we're very, very proud. We were the first state society in the United States to implement a workforce development program through the Real Jobs, which, as we've talked about, you've been a huge supporter of. We're very grateful for Scott Jensen and his team at DLT for the vision and, of course, the administration. But I will personally never be able to thank you and express how grateful I am. I've seen firsthand how this is changing kids' lives. This is giving them a future that they might not have had. For some, they have had absolutely no opportunities before this. And we've received letters and thank you notes from almost all of them. I got so many, we had to literally, read them out. So we had many from Cranston. I'm just going to read two very quickly to you. Dear Mr. Speaker, I'm one of the first cohort of participants in the RISPA Accounting and Financial Collaborative Workforce Training Program. The RISPA Real Jobs Workforce Program gave me the informational skills and tools to success in my professional career growth during and after completion of the program. Upon completion of the program, I was given a tremendous job opportunity as a full-time financial coach at the Capital Good Fund. RISPA provided the extraordinary mentorship and goes above and beyond for students in these programs, helping them achieve unprecedented success, but making us all want to give back to the community. None of this program would be possible without your support. For that, I am very grateful. Thank you from all of the students. The program changed our lives. Sincerely, Octavian. I want to read just one more from Brittany because hers really was pretty impactful, and I won't go through it. It was very long, but I will just say, she wrote, Dear Mr. Speaker, my name is Brittany Radcliffe. I am a junior in accounting and business management at Rhode Island College. Last year, I became the first state society. I participated in this program. Growing up, I always felt that I was behind everyone else. And I think that statement reflects how many kids feel like that, how they feel lost. Of course, over the years, I've learned, many of us do feel this way. Going through this program put me on sure footing. Like finally, there was tangible in-person skills I could use. Following the program, I felt confident enough to start joining other groups and look for opportunities to further my skill sets and connect me with like-minded peers and role models. I decided to run for VP of the Accounting Club and won. I decided to join the National Society of Leadership and Success and have found it to be invaluable. She's also landed full-time jobs and all kinds of successes. So I just want to say what you've done in your actions, and you don't always get to see firsthand, have really impacted so many kids. Unfortunately, during the crisis, we haven't been able to have any kind of celebration and bring these kids together to thank you personally. So I think it is important that you hear from them. So again, your focus on jobs and the economies, how important this is to the kids in our schools, to the future programs, to CTE, as Dave said. But I think I also want to say thank you for your innovation and your forward thinking, because our recovery is going to depend on this. We're focused now on data analytics. And as Dave said, this is a unique opportunity that we're doing with TACO and what we're doing in manufacturing. Your vision and innovation, that focus on that is really going to help position us to come out of this. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. And thank you to Octavian and Brittany. It does make you feel good when you hear that and you see the results of a lot of hard work. And Real Jobs Rhode Island is a collaborative effort. I have to thank the governor and the Senate president. Everybody sees the vision and the need for job training in Rhode Island. And Rhode Island has come from a position of being, in my opinion, very behind in such programs. And now we're a leader and an innovator in job training programs. So I want to thank both of them for their collaboration and their forward thinking. And when we work together, we can really do good things. And businesses and the people that depend upon businesses, people like Octavian and Brittany, really improve the quality of their lives. So it's so heartwarming to see. And I'm sure there's hundreds, if not thousands of people in similar situations. So I certainly appreciate the efforts of all of you. I thank the governor and the Senate president, but without your assistance and execution, none of that has the value and the impact that it's had. So you're all great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dave, you want to jump in here and say a couple words about the Real Jobs program? Because I know we're certainly not the only industry that's benefited from that. I know manufacturing is certainly, they kind of led the way. I just ride Dave's coattails on that one.
Well, Real Job has been a catalyst for the manufacturing sector. That's where that's our training ground. Many years ago, we used to have Brown & Shop. It's not there any longer. So I give credit to the governor and the Senate president and the speaker and the legislature, the entire legislature, to see the need of the importance of the training programs. And I walked through the Davies vocational with the speaker a couple of times, and you see the light on the faces of those students. And it's similar to what you were saying, Melissa, and reading those letters. And the speaker engages with them. You've talked with them. If there's anything, you walk away and say, I did some good. These kids got a future. And I think that's what the state of Rhode Island needs to remember, that the best step forward is with our youth. And the speaker recognized that, the governor did, and so did the Senate president. And collaboratively, we put this all together. And I kind of agree with what the speaker said. We try to give them ideas and thoughts of what we need, and they listen and we implement, and you guys have done that. So I give a lot of credit to you, Speaker, for showing that kind of leadership.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. So, Speaker, your focus on jobs and the economy is more important than ever as we work to improve Rhode Island's business climate. Dave and I both serve as directors of the Rhode Island Business Coalition, representing 26 industry groups in the state. Your focus on improving our economic climate has benefited all of us. I speak for Dave and others when I say industry leaders don't play politics. Elected officials in the state, particularly the Speaker of the House, have the ability to create an environment where companies and communities are able to thrive. I will leave you with this thought. It is more important than it will ever be, not just for Cranston, but for everyone in the state of Rhode Island, to have a visionary leader as we navigate and recover from this devastating crisis. Our very future depends on it. I'm personally asking you to support Speaker Mattiello, your representative in Cranston. I think you have done an amazing job. I think what you've done for the state and all our citizens is incredible, and I look forward to another 4 years. Dave, I'll turn it over to you, please.
Thank you. I think the efforts that we have seen from the conversation this morning, especially when we talk about the manufacturing, that's my forte. Your efforts have been fantastic. And I just hope that the voters in Cranston realize what we're saying here. The speaker knows I'm in the second chapter of my life. I've done my stuff, and I don't do what I do just because I benefit myself. I have no need to do this. So, and I know he recognizes that. So I just want to thank him for all he's done. And I'm hopeful that the voters in District 15 understand what we're trying to explain and the hard work that he has put in. His leadership is so important for the state of Rhode Island.
Yes, thank you. Speaker, what have you got? What is important for your voters, your constituents? What do you want to have them know? What should they be hearing from you right now?
Well, certainly hearing from a perspective like yours, I think is great. Oftentimes in politics, you get negative rhetoric that's meaningless and doesn't help the conversation at all. But bringing the perspective, the informed perspective that you bring, I think is phenomenal. I think that people are ultimately very intelligent and they pay attention. So I'm confident in the collective wisdom of people. And at the end of the day, what's important to us as a community is that we collaborate, we talk to one another, we prioritize what's important. And we make sure we have a thriving economy. And to have a thriving economy, you have to invest heavily in education, which we have and which I plan to continue doing. You have to invest in job training programs such as Real Jobs Rhode Island. You have to give young people the training and opportunity to succeed and to support their families and to have a good quality of life. You have to make sure that our tax climate is competitive. That's why one of the first things that I did when I was speaker is I made sure that we lowered the corporate tax from 9% to 7%. Amgen is built a new building or wing, and that is directly related to that tax cut. Some people don't recognize that policies have consequences, both positive and negative. There's a situation where we lower the tax rate. It makes Amgen more competitive nationally within their own company, and they can bring new products into the state of Rhode Island rather than having those products go somewhere else. Lower the minimum corporate rates for smaller businesses. These are all policies that make us more competitive and that have positive consequences. And I plan on continuing to do that. It's funny that John Hazen White brings up the estate tax this morning and the exemption. I was knocking on doors last night. I hope this gentleman actually watches this. And, his concern was the estate tax. And, he said, I'm going to have to leave the state of Rhode Island. I want to stay here. I love Rhode Island. I'm going to have to leave. People recognize that it's less costly to die in other states, but you can't predict exactly when you're going to die. So you have to leave earlier than you otherwise would leave. And all of your spending, all of your philanthropy, all of your assistance to the community, and all of your connections to the community go away when people leave the community. We want our successful people to stay here. So that's something that we're going to have to give a look to. It's hard because we have a lot of things going on at the same time. And when you reduce tax rates, you have to find the money in that year because constitutionally we have to balance the budget. But these are all initiatives that have to have a level of priority. We need successful people to stay in the state of Rhode Island. We need a business climate that's conducive to job growth so that every person has the opportunity to have a good paying job that's going to help them support their family, support a good quality of life. After all, we all work to first improve ourselves, our families, give us the ability to enjoy life, have some financial security, and then beyond that to benefit our community and society and our friends. So we want to make sure that we continue to work on that environment. We continue to be forward looking. We continue to have the vision that's going to make Rhode Island the best possible place by initiating good policies, stopping bad policies, and making sure that every Rhode Islander that wants to work hard has the opportunity to thrive. That's our goal. I'm one cog in the machine. I have good partners in the governor, the Senate president, all of my colleagues in the House, as well as all of you. There's a lot of good people that are very interested in the best outcomes for the state of Rhode Island and the best future for the state of Rhode Island. So I just thank you for recognizing some of the hard work and initiatives that we've all worked on together in the past and that have actually made Rhode Island a much better place. You know, sometimes people say, well, we're not perfect. You know, I actually get criticized for having a Rhode Island that's not perfect. It's infinitely better than when I took over the speakership. But yes, I agree, it's not perfect and we have a long way to go. And that's one of the reasons that I'm running again. I want to make sure we phase out the car tax, because as much as we talk about the business community, regular households have a hard time balancing their budgets. I want to make sure that they can go out to eat at our restaurants and support local hospitality, that they enjoy their families and social settings, that they have the resources to do that, and that they don't just work their lives away, that they have the resources to go on vacation. So all of those things come together to create a better quality of life. We need a good business environment, conducive to jobs. We need good jobs for our residents. And then we have to make sure that we have policies for our residents that enable them to stay in the state of Rhode Island and to thrive here and to be happy here. It's been my goal. I've worked very hard at accomplishing that. And I think we've come light years from where we were when I just started off as speaker, certainly when I started my legislative career. And we have a long way to go, but we're infinitely better. You know, it's easy to criticize what's not perfect. But if you judge where we were, where we are, we're in pretty darn good shape as a state. A lot of work to do, and thank goodness I have such great partners as you folks to help us get through the difficult policy discussion. So I look forward to continuing to work with you in the future, and I look forward to making the best possible Rhode Island we can make.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I want to say Dave and I were just talking about that, and I don't think people recognize Amgen. They could have built that second plant anywhere in the world. It was a spec building. And because of the job climate that we've created in the state, and that is your leadership, that is the administration, that is the Senate president, but that would have never happened even maybe 10, 15 years ago. So again, I think that's really important. Those are jobs that we have. That's why we can all have the optimism for a strong recovery for the state, because of what you've done and why it's so important that this continues. Dave, last final thoughts, please.
I just wish the speaker the best luck, and we hope to see you and working together next year.
God willing, I look forward to it. Thank you both. Thank you all.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us this morning. Thank you very much to our special guest, Speaker of the House, Representative Nicholas Mattiello, Dave Chenevier, Executive Director of the Rhode Island Manufacturers Association. It's always a pleasure to work with you, my friend. Good morning and have a great day, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.